I feel very much that my experience here is whew, is I'm living what is to be articulated, but without telling my personal accounts of what is unfolding, which may well get woven into what we are sharing. The great themes that are coming forward. There's something very powerful coming forward this morning. So we will weave what the deep silence of the mountain, the deep majestic presence of the mountain is calling forward for us all and our field. Yeah. The first thing that is really, really powerfully in the field is the presence of the mountain as a reflection, as a mirror of the sovereign being. And that true freedom is an invitation into a depth of sovereignty. But of a true sovereignty asks us to release independence and release self-reliance. And it asks us to let go of the protective mechanisms that we might think are sovereignty, and to let go into the one power, the power of the all that is. And that there's a great humbling in letting go of the ways that we protect, but that in order to really open to the freedom that our hearts are wired to long for, that letting go into a sovereignty that allows true divine guidance in, that allows us to be carried, allows us to flow in the river of trust, where the heart knows what it belongs to, where the heart knows the connection to source, and so is being carried in a flow, the flow which is pure devotion, the flow which is a constant surrender of life into itself. What is so powerful about this recognition is that we are so habituated to look outside us and to be constantly moving from a protected place where we're looking to be seen, looking to be heard, looking for approval, looking for permission, looking for something external to confirm who we are, what we are. And we override the inner autonomy, the inner authority, and the deep knowing of the heart, which is true intuition. And so this freedom that we discover through opening to the silent field, the great glorious silent presence field, is that we open to discover the essence nature, the wide open, infinite, unbounded, eternal presence that we are in truth. But opening to this alone doesn't bring us to this freedom in the fullest sense. And this is the invitation of Arunachala, is that to truly enter into the sovereignty of being, to enter into the one, to be one with God, with the glory, with love divine, is asking us to not only open, but to embody and be the fire that transmutes the alchemical fire, so that we can bring what we open to as essence nature, that we actually are the vehicle that brings grace, life, love, the unconditional, the divine to the surface of life, that we embody the light, that we allow the deconstruction, the collapse that we spoke of when we last met. And in that, a transmutation and a transfiguration happens multidimensionally that invites us to fully embody the light, to fully embody the love. And let's say that this is the potential, the natural potential that we have. This is what we are wired for. Consciousness is wired to know its divinity, to live and express fully its divinity. And yet this isn't, of course, any kind of achievement or goal that we can reach. It's the ultimate humbling. It's the ultimate humbling where we're not inhibited by the protections and all of the ways that we want to prove ourselves or to be seen, or even the sense of wanting to achieve something. It in itself is a protection. So it's so subtle, because in a way what we're speaking of as the sovereignty is not something that we can do, but it is something that we can be aware of. The mind and its protective need to be seen and to achieve and to get it, right? It takes these kinds of invitations and it gets inspired, it gets ignited, and it wants it. And then it tries to tell itself how I've got it. It tries to confirm itself, right? It tries to say, yeah, I've got that. I know that. I am that. It's so sneaky, right? It's really sneaky. and we want to include the sneakiness of the mind in this great field of love. Because as we name these places that can be sneaky, we're not rejecting these places. We're not making any single part of our human lived experience and the protective habits, we're not making any of it wrong. Because ultimately, it's the technology of love is so all-inclusive. And this is the grace that Arunachala continues to stun me with through my lived experience here and beyond, of course, is that there can be the most almighty humbling, and yet the power of love that is contained in that humbling just brings you to your knees again, because there's no punishment, there's no making wrong, there's no you've done it wrong, you've been a bad girl, you've been a bad boy. There's none of that. There's such almighty, profound love in the true humbling when we receive it from where it is coming from. So when we receive life from where it is coming from, that it's always grace. And can we rest in a depth of presence that truly receives what is here? And we could say, it could feel like a moment-to-moment breathing with, this is what's here, just breathe. The only thing we're ever being invited is to feel what is happening in this moment. We're not trying to get anywhere. And when we let go of trying to get anywhere, or to hold some kind of state, or to achieve some kind of state, if we really let go into the depth of presence that is the pure allowing and welcoming, the technology of love that includes everything, then whatever is here is absolutely welcome at a frequency level that truly allows transmutation and transfiguration to happen. Because it's all about the frequency. We can't fake it, right? And that's why if we're trying to tell ourselves, if the sneaky one is trying to say, yeah, you've already got that. Yeah, you know that. You already know that. You are a sovereign being. You're in your inner knowing and blah, 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 right? The one that wants to kind of prove itself, the one that wants to hold itself in this protection, the one that wants to be seen, that one is being invited in this invitation to let go into love, let go into a technology of love that includes all of the trying, all of the efforting, all of the ideas that we have about what this life is, what this so-called spiritual journey is. And in a way, we let go of our aspirations and our spiritual ambition. But we don't leave or lose the almighty yes of the heart to freedom, to wholeness, to love, to being absolutely taken by love, carried into the more and more refined and subtle depths of what the divine really is. And we discover that what the divine really is starts to be so different to what we once imagined that the divine was, because we tend to, from a place of feeling like there's something wrong with me and I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy, we imagine the divine to be something that we want to achieve that's going to kind of save us, is going to be our salvation. And yet our deep unworthiness tells us subtly and not so subtly that we'll never really get there. We'll never ever actually be that. So we create this divide and these mythic ideas about what the divine is, whilst all the while we are divine. We always have been. We're absolute whole divinity. That is what we are made of. It's what we are. And the glory of what we're being invited to discover is that everything is included in that divinity. And as everything is included in that divinity, and let's say here, the unworthiness, the sneakiness, the aspirations, all of the ways that in our humanness, our protective habits, the ways that we're conditioned, that we've learned to be, when all of that is included and stops being the driver that's holding us divided, the collapse of separation, of division, limitation, the fracturing, the fragmentation of the lived experience starts to bring a natural frequency of wholeness to our heart, where there's like an inner strength and a connection to source that brings a remembrance of what true power is, and yet a softness, a connection to natural kindness and patience, care. And that is how we hold ourselves and our direct experience is in this love and care and compassion, right? So as these words are coming, just notice how they're touching you. It's the frequency that touches you. It's not a conceptual understanding. It's the frequency and the intelligence, because it's what you are and what you are made of. And in a way, the transmission field is an overflowing wellspring. The transmission field doesn't belong to anyone. The transmission field is a wellspring, an overflow, and it just flows and runs, and it's an invitation to jump in, make a big splash, right? Jump right in and let yourself belong to what you already belong to, and to not need to understand and not need to prove anything, but to include all of you, because all of you is already included. And then here we touch into what it is then to release the protection of believing that sovereignty is some kind of independent, stoic stance or posture, a deep self-reliance that says, no, no, I've got this, right? Because that's even saying on a frequency level, it's okay, God, it's okay, divine beloved, I've got this. I don't need you, even if there's ways that we are inviting that. And so this humility is inviting us to see the ways that we try to hold this stance, this deeply protective stance that is so ingrained in the human nature. Of course, there are many other postures that we can be, protective postures that we can be carrying that keep us away from this true intuitive knowing, this kindness, this softness, this way of meeting ourselves. And this is, I can feel now the presence of the mountain just saying, this is the invitation, is meet yourself how I meet you. Meet yourself how love meets you. Meet yourself how the divine meets you. It's to allow the gaze of love to actually always be upon you. That we are so loved, we are so cared for, and it is our human minds that tell us that we are not. And we can divide and protect, and we can push people away. We can create filters that tell us that, you know, people are treating us this way or that way, or they're not seeing us, they're not understanding us. But it's just an internal dynamic, deeply protective internal dynamics. We can then start moving in behavioral patterns that are manipulative, where we're guilting people and trying to prove ourselves and imagining that we're being treated in certain ways that are not the actual reality, because we're in an internal dialogue which is protective. And so love's invitation is to feel the embrace, that we're so held, we're so cared for. And the invitation of life is to invite us to meet everything, hold ourselves with such care and kindness, include it all, welcome it all, and to really catch the ways that we can be self-critical and self-judging out of this deep-rooted frequency of separation, fear, division, limitation that tells us that there's something wrong with us, that we're always doing something wrong, we're getting it wrong. And when we really turn the attention to this, we start to catch it, and we start to be, wow, 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 all of the ways that I can make myself wrong, be judging and criticizing, be unkind to myself, or even just the simplicity of just not allowing myself to be as I am. So to really be the sovereign being has nothing to do with independence and self-reliance, and everything to do with letting go into the one, letting go into being the unified field, to being one with love, to being one with this field of silent presence, and to recognize that the play of life is the means for embodiment, and that we're never doing life wrong. We're never getting life wrong. And let's be clear here too, to say that life is, of course, so rich with the relational dynamics, and it can be within the relational dynamics that we can find the challenges, and with that we can feel like I'm doing it wrong, I'm not being successful in these relationship dynamics, or judging others or making others wrong, and just all of the nuances of the relational field. But it's this recognition that the relational field is where we get to receive the mirroring. We get to see ourselves, we get a reflection. And if we really start to realize that everything in life is a reflection, it's showing us ourselves. And we've heard this, but it's not as simple as what you see you are. It's much more subtle. It's about, what are you feeling in the presence of life? And are you feeling divided in the presence of life? Because where we feel divided in the presence of life is an invitation to cohere our lived experience with life and to recognize our resistance and opposition, the ways that we protect, push away, and that life is offering us this constant invitation to receive and include and be the love. That's how we be the love, is by receiving. And we receive by actually just allowing what's here to be here. And it's not a technique, and it's not a strategy. It's the simplicity of being in motion, we could say. It's the simplicity of being in action. The simplicity of being the being, and how we embody that is by receiving the play of life and what is here. And in a way, we could say, accepting that we never arrive, that the play of life is like an ongoing process. And can we just be present with what is here? Can we breathe with what is here? With kindness, with gentleness. I know many can feel like there's a lot of intensity happening. The intensity can feel constant, like, when's it going to end? But you know, if the heart is living at a frequency of almighty yes and longing for God, when's it going to end? It's going to end in God, right? It's not going to end in time. It's going to end in God. It's going to end in love. Everything is attempting to collapse into love. And so we're of course going to be invited to meet everything that keeps us divided and away from the love and the freedom that our hearts are longing for. So if we are longing for God, for freedom, for wholeness, for awakening, to know the divine light, however we call that, it's like everything, all of the myths, all of the concepts, all of the beliefs, all of the ideas, all of the protections, all of the behaviors, all of the sneaky things that we think that we've already got covered, all of it is going to be continually humbled. It means that we're sincere, we're in it, we're saying yes, right? And of course, in this, there will be times that feel easier, smoother, gentler. But then let us remember that the marker, in a way, of where we are in this unfolding is not imagining that we're climbing a ladder, but how present can you be with what is happening? How present can you be? How kind can you be with yourself, with what is happening? So we speak of what is just is, being with what is, not resisting what is. Of course, that is to not resist life. So this moment just is. And the curious thing is that we can make that into something very transcendent and abstract. And oh, there's nothing here and there's no one here, and it just is. And we can speak the lingo, you know? We're all mature. We can speak the lingo. But there comes a point where speaking the lingo, we realize, doesn't carry the frequency of integral wholeness unless it's at a true frequency level. So in a way, what is actually an invitation to, yes, recognize who we are, what we are, the unmoving, unchanging, recognize the peace that is never disturbed, recognize that the equanimity or equilibrium is never ever touched. This is the truth of who I am. But when we start to really open to, and here's life, right? Here's this. And we start to, through our lived experience, really integrate. How are we being with life? How are we using the incredible grace of life as an opportunity to embody, integrate, bring the divine, bring the transcendent reality right to the surface as a frequency that starts to be a reverberant field. And so here comes the other thing that Arunachala is bringing in for us this morning. And that is that the future is now. Everything that we're speaking of is inviting us to realize that the future, and we could say, what do we mean by future? We mean to live and embody love, to live and embody reality. So we could say the future is now, is what is it to live as now? What is it to embody reality? What is it to live as love? And that now, how we are living and what we are living is creating the future. But it's not creating the future in time. It's creating the future by shifting the field of consciousness, the one field of consciousness. So let us then say that what we're speaking of is our lived experience and our future. But our lived experience and future, of course, is not divided from that of humanity. So as we open to this universal truth, this cosmic truth, and as we embody the divine, what the divine is, and in the continuation of our human lived experience, we embody reality. We're not transcending away from this, the grittiness, right? We're actually bringing what we're opening to right to the surface of life. And we're starting to be the lived frequency that is visioning here now the future. So what I'm saying here is a frequency transmission. It won't make sense really to the mind, but I can feel that you're receiving it, right? So we're visioning the future of humanity. We're visioning the new creation. We're visioning what it is to live the eternal life right here, still on the surface of life, for the continuation of while we have a human body. Yeah, sure, eternal life. We know that we're not the body, and when we drop the body, that life goes on. But there's something so profound about, yeah, but what is our mission while we still have a body? Like, what can we achieve as humans, right? It's not about being like, oh, I'm not the body, and not making use of the incredibly potent possibility. Yes, I'm not the body, but what the teaching, we could say, the timeless teaching of I'm not the body is inviting us into is I'm not limited to being a mind-body complex that is divided from God. But when we tend the body, when we care for the body, and we realize that this body is God's temple in this human life, right? This body has actually got the most incredibly potent wiring of consciousness. The body consciousness is wired to be a divine temple. And this is why caring for the body and allowing the multidimensional refinement and true awakening of all of the layers of what we are simultaneously, so that we can live on the surface of life as a multidimensional being, and that our body has the capacity to be light, to be like a processor for the transfiguration of separation for the whole field, right? I paused because something so big as a frequency field is being shared here. And as the speaking happens, it's happening now. What we're speaking of isn't in the future time, it's happening here now. We are this, our field is this. We are the living reality, we are the new creation. We are the human being expressed as the divine. We already are it. And we're being invited to deepen. And the more that we come to realize what this life is and the nitty-gritties of how our protections and conditionings and resistances keep us away from being the powerful vehicle of change that we actually are as a body, as a body that is refined. And we could say this is why taking care of the body is something that is wired in consciousness, and it's wired into the Ayurveda as an inspiration for how we might take care of the body and keep the body so that it won't weigh us down and burden us, and can even be, through profound rejuvenation, an incredibly potent direct experience of a body of light, the immortal, right? That true rejuvenation and cellular transfiguration can actually happen. Some of this is coming through here because you may, I think I did share this with you, that I've been in a panchakarma this last week. My goodness, I never intended. There was no plan ever to do that. Definitely not in India. But the mountain had other plans for me. I went there knowing what was being invited, and I said, I'm not actually going to do like the therapies that you're suggesting. I'm just going to like stay here and do like a gentle cleanse and, eat some khichdi and just be in nature. And well, I could feel with all of my being that something deeper was saying, oh, you're going to do those therapies. and there was this yes that was so deep. And I'm like, no, 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 you're very sensitive. And I said, I'm very sensitive. I don't think I should do these. I don't think I should do these things. And this deep yes is saying, you're going to do it. And there was no resistance. There was a watching as I watched this body take part. I won't give you the details because it's pretty graphic. But my God, the potency of what I was carried through was was beyond what could ever have been imagined. Like it took transfiguration and like multidimensional body cleansing to levels that I could never ever have imagined. Where seriously, the 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 karmic offloading that was happening, the energetic offloading, and through the body was just off the charts, intense and incredibly profound. And I knew that it was this body has to go through this. This body has to go through this for the next expansion, right? And there was absolute bliss and okayness the whole time, the whole time. But my goodness. And so in this, moving through this, what I'm sharing this morning is because there's this weaving that I spoke of in the beginning. There's this weaving in the field of to live this new reality. We're being asked to purge, let's say. And that doesn't mean that everybody needs to do a panchakarma. It's because life, in a way, is its own purging, right? But it is about receiving the purging that is happening. There's many ways that life is inviting us to release what no longer serves us, to release attachment and entanglement with karmic resonance. To receive life, to receive whatever life is offering us, and to realize this is the purging, the purifying, always happening. And so we work where we are. We actually don't need to look for, go digging around, excavating, because right here, right, life is giving us, right? It's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that kind of sticky relationship dynamic. I think I'll do this instead. This would be really spiritual and helpful, right? It's like, no, no, no. Turn right towards the Mack truck that's coming towards you, right? Like stand like right there in the eye of the storm. It's like whatever is happening and however intense it feels, just to be so present with what's happening. The Ayurvedic doctor that I worked with in the most intense part of this experience, where I actually was losing consciousness in and out and collapsing, and it was a lot happening. But she said that there was a part of me that was so coherent and was kind of narrating everything that was happening. I was reporting, apparently, everything that was happening. I almost don't really recall, but But I do remember her saying, even though the body was in a lot of discomfort, something like, this might sound really strange, but you're so clear. Your face is so clear. And I could feel there was so much light. And yet what was actually happening was incredibly intense. And but what this is inviting is, can we be present with whatever is coming? Can we be present with whatever is here? Can we let the multidimensional layers of our being, the part that's like, there was a part of me that just felt like a child. There were tears. It was like total collapse. I had to give my whole self over, be like a baby, and be absolutely cared for. And yeah, really, really humbling. And at this base level, I was absolutely in pieces in a way. And yet there was this bliss and this light that was present, and kind of everything in between. And so if we stop trying to kind of be okay, stop trying to be there, and we embrace the part of us that is in the karmic purging, right? And I share this as well because I know that many are facing intense situations in the play of life right now. And it's, can I be with myself and hold myself with kindness, with exactly what is here right now? How present can I be with myself? In a way, of course, there's moments in life, and for me, this was one of them where it wasn't about being present. It's almost like survival, right? it's that there's nothing else apart from just this, just what's happening. And it's a great reminder of the depth of presence we can actually have, because somehow that reveals to us, because there's no mind, there's nothing. And it's okay that the mind dances. Of course it is. Everything is included, but to be so present with our experience that we're allowing all of the dimensions that we're experiencing to simultaneously be here, and that we're trusting that there's a divine coherence that's moving to reorganize and recalibrate our consciousness so that we can experience more love, more freedom, and that we're being recalibrated, not individually, personally. We're being recalibrated uniquely, but we're being recalibrated as a whole field. And where we have the capacity, our bodies and consciousness, our whole multidimensional being will be used for its highest potential, right? So in a way, whatever is happening in the life is the highest possibility that we have the capacity to navigate, transmute, and transfigure through our lived experience, through our field of consciousness, right? So it's always for the whole. It's uniquely rewiring our field and our lived experience, our unique lived experience, and yet it's always in service to the whole. And so then to be visioning reality, to be visioning the future here now, to open to what it is to live as light, to live as love, to truly embody the reality, and to recognize that this lived reality is seamlessly undivided from the dimension of fear and separation, right? But what's happening is that the dimension of fear and separation and limitation through our lived experience, we're shifting frequency, we're shifting operating system to being the lived frequency of love, of reality, of freedom, of being the being, but embodying that. We're shifting everything. And we're, in a way, we're leaving living entangled in the collective sense of division. But we're not dividing like, oh, we're going to the Holy Land and you can all just kind of rot over there, right? It's like, no. It's one seamless recalibration that's happening. And as we open to this, to live this reality on the surface of life, the reverberations of the frequency field of love are touching and recalibrating the whole collective, right? And then this is happening multidimensionally through our field. So the future is now. To live eternity isn't when we drop the body. It's to be in the juiciness of what is the adventure for the rest of this human life. While we have a body, what can we use this body to bring to the surface of life? We bring love to the surface of life. We bring light to the surface of life as a transmission field. Silently, quietly, humbly, right? By just living this life, by being the living frequency, not by giving ourselves new spiritual and divine personas and identities, but by letting all of those crumble and being so real, right? So when we speak of being the sovereign being, we're speaking of being so one with the divine that we embody the divine. We are the light, we are the love, we are the divine. But then it's almost as if the whole idea of the human and the divine, and am I this, am I that, where are the edges, and I want to be the divine, I don't want to be the human, I don't want to be the broken, wounded one. It's that there's such a recognition at the frequency level of the all-inclusivity that the words just stop, right? And we just get on with life. And we just get on with it. And we just be it. We just be life. And we're right in the thick of it. And this is where we speak of, this idea of, where we open to, well, the common way that it gets spoken of is, first there were, like, I think they say rivers and mountains, and then there were no rivers and mountains, and then there are mountains and rivers again. It's this full circle unfolding that when we truly, really start to embrace what wholeness is, and we're really, really interested in what wholeness is, we let go of all concepts of wholeness, of identities of wholeness, personas of wholeness. And we realize that wholeness is about living this reality and being real. This is what the mountain wants to bring for us, our field this morning. So this presence, this glorious presence of the sovereign being, the deep silence, the presence of love. There's something so profound about this mountain because it's not even a really big mountain, right? It's kind of just, they say, like a little hill. It seems so bizarre if that frequency hasn't stirred your heart. It can seem so bizarre. And that doesn't matter because that stirring comes through many things. We're all stirred in our unique ways. But this mountain, it offers so much because it is so humble as a holy hill. It's not trying to be anything else. And yet somehow the sovereign presence of God is here. It's unmistakable. This is my experience. That I feel so seen and so cared for, so revealed, so humbled, and yet so incredibly intensely loved. And it becomes like a song, a mantra, the timeless mantra that's ever repeating, which is like the deepest song of the heart's knowing. It's that pure flow of devotion that we spoke of, where these rituals are carried out day in, day out, day in, day out. Mantras are sung again and again and have been for, maybe thousands of years in unbroken ways. It's that knowing that we have, that we are love, and that love loves, that we belong to God, that we are children of God, we are one with God in glory, that there's no division. And it brings us into the current of the frequency of that song of devotion that is playing in all of our hearts. And it doesn't matter what the melody is. It doesn't matter what the words are. It doesn't matter, because the uniqueness is actually what makes the harmony, right? It's the uniqueness that creates the harmony. It's what creates the song of life. And so to live this reality is to not make it wrong, but to, in a way, to be the harmonic that we are here to be, to play our part uniquely, fully. Yeah. So thank you.